Welcome back to Clearcut. A Senate showdown in Texas tonight where Republican Senator Ted Cruz will debate Democratic challenger Beto O'Rourke. Now, the latest polls show O'Rourke trailing the sitting senator by 7 percentage points, just 3 weeks out from voting in the deeply red state. The Democrat has raised $38.1 million. That is 3 times the amount that Cruz has at his disposal. We go now to our senior national correspondent, Michael Shore. He is in San Antonio, where the candidates will be squaring off tonight. And, Michael, certainly a big showdown with only a few weeks left in the race between Cruz and O'Rourke. So tell us more about what is at stake tonight.
Well, listen, I mean, you just said it. The numbers are what the numbers are right now for Beto O'Rourke. And even though he's been sweeping through this state and getting a lot of notoriety and a lot of, accolades from Democrats, getting a lot of people out, it seems, to register and vote, Michelle, the numbers are what the numbers are. You cited a poll of 7%. Quinnipiac had one at 9, saw one at 4, but they're all favoring Ted Cruz. As a Republican, would be favored here in Texas. Tonight, the debate is probably going to focus on the money. I'm sure Ted Cruz is going to bring up the amount of money that Beto O'Rourke has raised in a way to try and cast it as money that's coming from Hollywood, coming from liberal elite. He tried to cast O'Rourke as a radical in the last debate. For Beto O'Rourke, he's probably going to look at Ted Cruz, try and talk about Brett Kavanaugh. This is the first debate since that, entire conversation about the Supreme Court justice, one in which Ted Cruz took a big part. So that's what you should expect.
All right. Michael, on another topic, Stormy Daniels, the adult film star suing the president for defamation, she had her case thrown out and has been ordered to pay the president's defense fees. But the president tweeted about the ruling, calling her a horse face. She then dubbed him as Tiny. Look, I can't believe we're having this conversation. One of them is the president. The other one is a porn star. Michael, what's your take on this? What's going on?
I also, Michelle, like you, can't believe we're having the conversation. But if we're going to have it, we're going to try and analyze it. Look, I think this is part of the brand that made this man president to an extent, saying things that got people to pay attention, people to laugh. I mean, this was something that he did in the campaign with Crooked Hillary. He's done it with Chuck Todd. He's done it with Maxine Waters, calling her low IQ Maxine. These kind of things are appealing to his base, the people that put him in the White House, to some degree, or they must be. But I don't know that you can analyze them further than that, other than the Trump people are probably happy that this is a distraction from some of the other news surrounding the president at this point. But that's the only analysis of this that I can force, Michelle.
Yeah, Senator Warren's probably happy because it's taking a little bit of attention off her. Michael, thank you so much, Michael Shore. Appreciate it.
You got it.
All right, for more on all of this, we're joined by Tom Borelli. He's a contributor for the Conservative Review, and we're also joined by former Obama administration strategist Roger Fisk. Gentlemen, thank you both for being with us. Roger, good to have you with us. Roger, let's kick it off with you. Does Beto O'Rourke have a chance in Texas?
I think he absolutely does. When you look at that polling, which has been closing, you factor in the margin of error, which is 3 to 5%. I haven't seen the specific poll that just recently came out. And then the fact that a ground game can mean anywhere from 3 to 4 points. And this is also when a lot of independents are going to be making up their minds. Just the fact that this state is in play says a lot about Ted Cruz, who's willing to turn around and lavish praise on the same man who insulted his wife and his father. And it says quite a bit about the president, the fact that Texas is in play. So I think Beto has a very good chance.
Tom, what do you think? Texas is in play. Does he have a chance?
No, not at all. I think there were some early polls that really got the Democrats really excited, prematurely excited, and they dumped in $38 million to a losing race. So that's money that could have been spread out in other states where they possibly could win, let's say like in Indiana. We have to look at the issues. Texas is still a red state. Mr. O'Rourke wants gun control. He's weak on the border. He doesn't like the tax cuts. He didn't like Kavanaugh. And the Kavanaugh issue has really been the gift to Republicans because it really reminded Americans, especially Republicans, how important the Senate is. And that's why Cruz is going to come through strong. Cruz is a very strong debater. $38 million, how much from Hollywood? That doesn't play well in Texas.
Roger, let's focus on another issue, and that is Elizabeth Warren. Her DNA test, well, has backfired. It shows that the part of her DNA derived from so-called Native American ancestry is between 164th or 1024th. And the Cherokee Nation Secretary of State Chuck Hoskin issued a statement about that today. He says using a DNA test to lay claim to any connection to the Cherokee Nation or any tribal nation, even vaguely, is inappropriate and wrong. It makes a mockery out of DNA tests. He goes on to say that Senator Warren is undermining tribal interests with her continued claims of tribal heritage. Roger, how does this impact her? Because surely it's not positively.
Well, I mean, you could debate that. First off, you know, families are interesting things. Families have mythologies, you know, long stories about some ancestor somewhere that, you know, did some physical feat of strength or something, and these get passed on and they morph and they change, just like kind of history itself in a lot of ways. So I don't begrudge her the idea that she grew up being told that
hang on. I mean, she was using this not as a good tale to tell her children.
In her family.
But Roger, she wasn't just using this as a nice story to tell her children about mythology. She also used this to get a position at Harvard as the first woman of color, according to Harvard, on the Harvard Law faculty. So it's not just a case of her, you know, wanting to tell a nice story.
Well, I've heard two different things about that. One, I've heard that Harvard refuses to open up their file, and then you're saying that they have. So I don't know what is true or what is not. That said, looking at the gentleman who's upset with her about this, the man who started his career with a 58-story building and marketed it as a 68-story building, took out a full-page ad in the New York Times to accuse the Central Park Five of being guilty before they even had due process. I have to be able to finish. I'm sorry.
Go ahead. Go ahead. Finish your thought. Tell us how this is linked to the president.
Well, I mean, he's the one who's making hay about it. He's the one who's making, who's using a derogatory, cartoonish term. I can understand that Native American leaders are concerned that this is kind of just a drive-by from a whole set of issues that are very complex and are very deserving of people's understanding and education and policy focus. But me and not anyone else is going to get lectured by President Trump about honesty, attacking character, or anything like that. It's just not going to happen.
Tom, what do you have to say of all of this? Because you know, if this was said by a conservative Republican rather than a Democrat, and the DNA tests came out this way, do you think it would be received in a similar fashion? No,
absolutely not. Let's face it. Senator Warren is a fraud. Over 99% of her DNA is not Native American. That is absolute fraud. What I find ironic about it is she's the one who wants to regulate the banks. Could you imagine if a CEO misled somebody? She would want them in jail. But she can commit this sort of fraud, which has benefited her career, which is a great point you raise. It is absolutely outrageous. But this isn't the only Democrat. We have Senator Blumenthal, who claimed he was a Vietnam, war veteran, not. I mean, this goes on and on. And let's remember, we always had Senator Robert Byrd, who was part of the Klan, and the Democrats had to make him the Senate Majority Leader. Democrats are just filled of frauds and liars, and it's about time the American people stood up. Why would it matter even if Senator Blumenthal had served in Vietnam? You would attack him over that. He lied. That's all that matters, sir. In a second if it was going to help you politically. You want to comment on Robert Byrd, the Klansman? So now you have an appetite for calling out lies? Did President Trump win New Hampshire? He said he did. The Senate Did President Trump win New Hampshire? He said he did. Did President Trump win the women's vote?
Roger,
he said he won the women's vote. How about
Senator Kennedy?
We're going to have to leave it there. We're out of time.
President Trump
We're going to have to cut off your mics now because we're out of time. Roger Fisk, Tom Borelli, thank you both for your analysis. We love a good heated debate here on Clearcut. Still ahead, a tech giant remembered. Luminaries and leaders